All right. Thanks, everyone. Our panel will be growing today, just so you know. This is a very dynamic session, and we'll be joined by Gaurav soon, but I am joined right now with Carl from AWS, and very thankful that you are joining us today. And we've had an opportunity to speak quite a bit in the last couple of months, and you've been very generous with your time with us. But maybe just by way of introductions, you want to introduce yourself and explain your role at AWS?
Sure. Michael, check. This is Carlo. I'm the partner solution architect from AWS. I work as an architecture for 3 years. Before that, I was a developer, start from backend developer for 10 years, and then big data engineer and machine learning engineer. I'm very happy to say we bring a Mongo database, Cassandra database, and the Postgres all together. And work as an engineer, I know all these things, how these go through, how we build on top of this. It's very happy to see a scale and also security and also cross multi-region, multi-cloud solution there. That's very, very helpful, yeah.
Very good. Well, we're very glad you're here. And as mentioned in several other sessions, we'll probably just jump right into AI workloads. I think a lot of people want to hear about that. And particularly, I think it would be great to be able to pick the mind of somebody who works at AWS to maybe we'll just start with what is the culture like within AWS as far as both building and using AI technologies?
Sure. I think today I heard a lot of a great use case on top of AI and also a different workload around AI. But from AWS perspective, we always start from customer obsessions. So what our customer need, and then we start from there. I would say first thing is security. I heard a lot of questions mentioned about I don't want my data to leave to the public, to send to the public, and how you sure my data stay where they are. Make sure this data is security. And also I don't want to send my data directly to public model. I want the model only limited to access by myself, by my enterprise, by my company. So security is the first thing we think about around AI. And the second thing is a flexibility. Because when people demo about different solutions, they would say, okay, you don't married to one model. An AI model, the innovation very fast. This today we're talking about not today, a few months back we talk about DeepSeek model, and later we will talk about another model, and then later another model will come out. So AWS will think Bedrock is not a single model, it's a platform to make our customer can flexibly manage their model on top of this platform. You can choose different models you like, and also we define model it says some models they have a longer time to response. We can use this model for batch job, for a big-term job, to convert the original data to embedding data. And another model, we need rapidly response. We need the reasoning. We need very latest AI ability there. And then we can choose this kind of model for a runtime chatbot or something like that. So we provide hundreds of different models you can choose for your different use case and different purpose. So I would like to say first thing is security. The second is flexibility on our AI workload. Yep.
Very cool. And so you work with a lot of partners, and imagine the kind of the spectrum of the success that they're seeing implementing AI workloads is probably pretty broad. Do you have some thoughts on some attributes of company culture, tech stack, attitude, et cetera, that kind of separate the people that are very successful with their early AI projects versus the ones that are perhaps with the long tail? Absolutely. We've got a third panelist. Ladies and gentlemen, this is happening in real time. The microphone will be working, and we'll be joined very soon from Gaurav, who is a platform engineer from the automotive industry. And I'll just go ahead and introduce him while he's coming up. We've worked quite a bit with Gaurav in the past couple of years. Definitely has some great insights into data infrastructure, as well as some best practices around building large distributed teams for a very, very global company. And I'll let him share more about himself, but thought I'd introduce him really quickly. But anyway, maybe just kind of tying off on that, are there some attributes that you have seen that kind of separate those companies that are doing well with AI workloads from the rest?
Cool.
Welcome.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Okay, sure. I think my org work as a partner solution architect. What I like a partner is my customer. So what I mainly focus on, try to speed up our partners' AI journey, make them from a lot of good demos, a lot of brilliant ideas how to use AI. My goal is to bring these ideas directly to production, like how to deploy their AI agent on agent core, how to directly bring their MCP onto AWS Marketplace. So my goal is try to speed up all these things, how to scale on the AI agent core, how to scale on the MCP tools, and also how to make all these ability and API securely provided to customers. Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you. Garv, welcome. And first question, of course, is you're speaking 4 times today. What's it like being the most popular person this week at KubeCon?
I'm not the popular person, but it was a privilege to be here. And thank you for inviting me into the session. Yeah, so yes, I've been, and for the delay, apologize because I had back-to-back sessions. As a way of introduction, my name is Gaurav Saxena. I work for, as Andrew mentioned, one of the largest automotive companies in the US. And I lead a platform engineering team. So we do not only just the database like Yugabyte, but we have offerings for other solutions like messaging, general GCP, AWS infrastructure, CI/CD, observability, and now of course with the AI buzzword. So thinking about in terms of agents and the MCP servers. So think about those as a conglomeration to build your IDP platform. So that's how I work with that.
I had an engineering professor very, very long ago who was sure that automotive was the place to work if you're interested in advanced technology and how it impacts people. That was a long time ago, but certainly feels like that's kind of what's happening right now. You just rattled off a very, very large tech stack, and it feels like the pace of innovation in your industry is pretty competitive and very fast, and now there's the kind of AI step function change to accelerate things as well. Can you maybe walk us through some of the cool projects that are on the horizon for the automotive industry and/or some of the concerns that you have right now with managing your tech stack?
Yeah. So before I give the answer, just to start with the preface, automotive industry is quickly moving towards what we call software-defined vehicles. And there is a Gartner and Forrester research that by year 2032, 8 years from now, 9 years from now, we will have 100 million of vehicles on the road that will be talking to your cloud for the connected platform. So basically think about the volume of data that each of those sensors, there are many sensors in the vehicle as you know, will be sending to the cloud for both for the retail pieces as well as the fleet pieces. What I mean by that is the retail pieces, you want to get your vehicle, you want to have your vehicle perform better every day, right? If you have owned Tesla or other cars, you want the OTA updates on your vehicle. You don't want your OTA to be bad deployment to cause any break in the vehicle. Same thing goes with the data that we send from on the fleet side. So you have tremendous value for prognosis and diagnosis of the vehicle itself. That being said, the kind of the use cases that we work on today is to basically power both the IoT side, which is on the vehicle, and on the cloud side. So you have two personas. One persona is your cloud application developer, your service teams who wants to get the data from vehicle and make sure that the ingestion of those data is on the real time, because there is no value of getting the data which is like 10, 15 minutes old. As an example, if we want to sell this data to our cross sell to, like, let's say insurance companies, they want to know how good or bad the driver is, because they want to rate your insurance based on that. So there's a tremendous applications that actually powers that in real-time ingestion of the data from the vehicles. And then on the other side, from the cloud to IoT side, you have to get those data and act on it so that you can do the meaningful OTA deployments from the cloud application point of view. So you have to also ensure that your CI/CD, your database operations, your messaging, your observability is in place to make that informed decision before we deploy the software to the vehicle itself. So they are the use cases around this two path, which is the connectivity and the commands.
Can you speak a little bit more to, I mean, those sounds like two teams that own a very distinct product but need to work together. And you're a very global company with a number of different divisions. Have you experienced any kind of like silos that you need to break down?
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, most of you are if you've been on the startup journey, they are what I call the life cycle of a product, where first phase is that you want to build fast. You don't think operations in the mindset first. You want to just prove out that this MVP works, right? And then as you scale and grow, sometimes you get surprised that somehow this MVP landed into the customer teams as a kind of like a production environment, right? And then you sometimes, and I'm sure most of you have the same experience, where sometimes you will have 100 people on the call on an incident bridge and asking kind of question, was there a deployment 20 minutes ago, right? So how do you build this in a centralized operations mindset? So we build what we call, like, it's an industry standard called internal developer platform, aka IDP. And that platform is basically make sure that your developer efficiency, developer productivity is at the mindset of operations team. As an example, if I want to create a database, Yugabyte DB, the applications team should not know in a perfect world how do I use Yugabyte DB. They should know, but the infrastructure concerns should be taken away from them, so that they don't need to understand all the Kubernetes internals. They just focus on, here is my database, here is my read throughput, write throughput requirements. Platform team, you go and create the infrastructure for me. Whether you deploy in one region, multiple cloud providers, different regions, that's up to the infrastructure concerns. I give you my spec, these are my requirements. So we take that spec and write into Kubernetes objects, so that it abstracts right away of interfaces for the applications team, so that they can focus on building the domain business logic on top of that, rather than building the infrastructure pieces of it. Right.
Very interesting. So developers having direct access to platform and infrastructure, obviously that's a debate. Have you kind of experienced both sides and come through very hard decisions to get to your opinion?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, I mean, so for example, our developers will come and say, I don't have access to the database. I need to look at the schema, or I need to upgrade the schema. So these are like the common developer pain points. And there has been sometimes friction between the platform team and developer team, saying that their developers say, I need this access. But from a security point of view, you can only have the access that you need for it, right? And also the key thing is that it has to be audited. You can't provide the access without auditing it. So you have to build those tools around that. If you have to give in terms of emergency break glass and access to the DB for a developer, what developer is doing, what queries he ran, what operations he performed, it should be audited. And how do you audit that? That's a tooling that you have to build on the platform team, so that from the compliance point of view, you understand that part, that this developer had the access for such and such things, and he performed those actions. And there are various open source projects around that. How do you build the auditing capabilities? So if you bake in all those to the developer ecosystem itself, then developers don't feel that kind of like a tension where I need this thing for my job. You just provide them the right abstraction. They can still they can still perform the job without knowing the internal gigabyte database internals, as an example.
Let's dig into open source a little bit more. And Carl, I'd love to hear kind of, you talked earlier about AWS's philosophy around AI being very focused on flexibility and perhaps maybe in a new so like many companies. Can you talk us through AWS's approach to open source, especially as it applies to your AI functionality?
Sure. I think previous session, the DocumentsDB, that's an open source one.
Yep.
Another one around directly around AI is Strands framework. So we have like a platform called Bedrock Agent. So we can directly configure your AI agent on the UI from Bedrock. You can say, okay, give instruction for this agent. Says you are, for example, math problem agent. For my kids, you solve the math problem. You are a math teacher, solve the math problem for my kids. And then you give the MCP tool. Like here's the like a MCP tool, use Python to directly calculate on the math problem, and you give the configure the knowledge base. Says here's S3, here is all the history, like a math exam, the question, answer, and all this. You feed this RAG to the agent, and then once this agent starts runs, you can directly ask questions there. Says, okay, here's my math problem. Can you give me the answer? So based on the knowledge base, based on the MCP tool, it gives you much accurate answer. Instead of directly go to the public AI, ask a math problem, they may think about use for example, university ways to solve that, not high school math solution to solve the problem. So this is one like a platform we provide on AWS Console, but we do have an open source framework called Strands framework. It's a Python-based SDK, and it's fully open source. You can directly use Python language to configure MCP tools, instructions, which AI model you want to use, and you can configure all these flows there. And like the Bedrock console, the agent console, use this open source SDK to do the UI work, the same, use the same SDK to do the work. And through this open source SDK, you can directly deploy your agent on agent core runtime. So it's very convenient to bring your AI agent idea use case directly on the enterprise level, security level platform, and has a scale, has a security, has everything there. Yeah.
That's evolving pretty quickly. The security around agents, compliance, et cetera, kind of all happening in real time. Threats are emerging, new types of risk around it. Has any of that changed AWS's kind of philosophy on the shared responsibility model? Or are you kind of thinking through that on the fly, or any developments there?
The shared responsibility is still the
still have to do things.
Yes,
Okay.
still the same. We will take care of the for example, if you publish a Lambda, we will take care of the underlying how the Lambda runtime run. The security responsibility is on AWS, but the applications you publish there, for example, your Python code you publish there, the responsibility will still be the partners or our customers. Yeah, we will work together to ensure the security of the application. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Gaurav, so you talked about automation, some of the kind of emerging use cases that you guys are working on. Obviously, self-driving cars is something very viscerally people can imagine. Maybe you can walk us through some of the other AI adjacent kind of either workloads or use cases that are happening in automotive that are pretty cool for people to learn about.
Yeah. I'll give you the one that I am involved with and the one that I'm hearing not necessarily from my industry, but adjacent to my industry. So I think you touched briefly upon this. So for example, in our deployment strategy or in our observability space, we are writing the MCP servers so that in the time of operations, if someone has to craft a query, what went wrong in last 10 minutes, or what was the indicators of the past 10 minutes window or the 10 minutes window of the vehicle itself, they can craft that query. But in order to craft that query, you need the whole domain level experience. And if I'm an operations engineer on an on-call incident, I necessarily don't have all the domain knowledge of my end-to-end workflow. So then the MCP server basically fronts all those requests, and then you can present in terms of like an LLM, where you can write a natural language interface, and you can help the answers from the system itself. So for example, the system of record could be your Argo CD for your deployment, could be your Grafana for your observability, and things like that. Now, I was talking about the adjacent to it, like for example, the cloud to device and device to cloud workflow. Since it's still involved that additional network hops, one thing that I'm seeing in the industry is that at the edge, meaning what if I deploy this model at the edge, that will help me to save the network cost and also the latency. So for example, vehicle has, of course, it's evolving, the hardware spec of the vehicle is evolving. It has now more compute power than it had 10 years ago. So now you can run certainly some tiny ML models on the vehicle itself that will make sure that your data that you're collecting is at the edge, and everything doesn't have to be like a sample and transfer to the cloud for processing, right? So that's the work that I'm aware of. It's happening in the industry.
Very cool. So Yugabyte, obviously you saw our demo earlier today. Carl, we built an agentic app to kind of demonstrate our functionality. And we've had a hackathon where we kind of empowered the team to build things on their own. And that kind of helped us learn, I think, what it takes to kind of standardize technologies across the team, think about things like compliance, et cetera, but also empower everybody to innovate. And so I just kind of a question for both of you. How do you kind of strike the balance between empowering kind of a passionate group of developers to make stuff up, build things with AI, versus understanding the reality of, hey, these things need to be in production eventually. We need to apply the same type of security and compliance we do with everything else. This is kind of a philosophy question. How do you strike that balance? Maybe Carl, do you have some thoughts to start us off?
Sure. Like how to encourage developers to involve on the to do the innovations on AI workload. I think when the AI first came out, and then people will ask oh, is AI will take the job from developers? I would say no, because it seems like after AI come out, we get more busy. We have more use case to explore. We have more initiative we needed to do. For example, in our today's previous sessions, like RAG, it seems like it's straightforward and simple to us, but a lot of companies or enterprise customers, they haven't applied this to their solutions. Like AI, from the public knowledge, it's a very clever brain, but it know nothing about your company, know nothing about your order history or anything. So RAG is the solution to bring not only the victim data, but also the structured data, like your traditional Postgres data and your profile data, bring all this context to the AI, make this clever agent or this clever person understand who you are and what your history, what is your order history, and then give a clever suggestion based on all the context. Like it can, I just guess, because I don't know the implementation of Amazon orders, but if the agent know, okay, you history by all this, and then it can give you better suggestions, says, okay, based on your history, I suggest this, you could buy there, yeah.
Gaurav, does the thought of every developer in your org building their own agent fill you with extreme joy or existential dread? And you have to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
Okay, it's in the middle is fine too.
Yeah. I don't have experience with that today, frankly. But in the KubeCon session that I was in today, early in the morning, in the CNCF committee, there's a whole separate SIG, special interest group, that's trying to attack the same problem and trying to come up with the white paper that can be adopted by different organizations. And in there, they talked about something called framework called K-agent. So it's probably Amazon folks probably know about that much. It's the open source. I think it was open source from Microsoft, and now many cloud providers are coming into their ecosystem. So this framework is basically, you can think this as like a federation of different MCP servers. So if, let's say, for example, if I am a developer who needs access to this particular domain knowledge that requires MCP server X capabilities, without me spending my time on that, how can I put that as a guardrails around that so that other teams can also get benefited off of it? So this framework called K-agent, which I learned today, is towards solving the problem that you're trying to describe here.
And do you think at the end of the day, you'll be able to ship faster, once you kind of like standardize this in some way, or is it, inevitably going to remain kind of about the same?
I think we'll be able to move faster because again, when I say faster, it's not just about the development or putting iteration X in the production. It's around the operations, right? How good how good this LLM is serving for me, my needs. Is it hallucinating? Is it really giving me the value that I need from it? So the operations part are, in my mind, the most dragging. Like, for example, you spend 80% of your time in developing the last mile, 20%, which is where I think this kind of a centralized framework would help towards achieve that.
Okay, great. I think might have time for another question or two. I would like to play time machine and have both of you kind of think through, we're sitting here a year from now. How are things different? I think when, specifically talking about building for AI workloads, one mere year from now. Carl, you want to go first? Yeah.
Sure. Today we mentioned a lot about RAG agent. I would say at the very beginning, we use AI as a general question, as a very clever mindset about all the general language, general knowledge. We can ask, okay, who is the first president of blah, 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 and then Gen AI will give you the answer. And then later, we will think about how we bring our enterprise knowledge to this AI. For example, I would like to have all the, talking about developer. Every time when you join a new company, they will say, here's our policy of our commit your code. Here's our policy to define your data tables. Here is the our history. Here's how we design our history system. You have 10 hundreds of different tables or a different project and different comments. All this knowledge, we use RAG, we use knowledge base to feed to the AI. Then every time when I commit my code changes, then AI know, okay, not only a clever brain, but also know, okay, Carl, this line of code you commit is not good according to this policy, according to this history, according to this history, bug system or something like that. Or according to this suggestion, I will give you better refactor your code like this or something like that. So from the general AI, then to RAG, to AI with RAG, with knowledge base. And later, we found the agent AI, they have more power of reasoning, planning, and also have the actionable stuff. It has the ability to call the MCP tools. So I would say from 1 year back, it's general AI with RAG and the knowledge base, and right now is AI with reasoning, planning, and also powerful MCP tools. Yeah.
Garv?
I think 1 year is really a long-term time in this space, right? Every day when we hear something about coming from DeepSeek, they just released this new model which actually says that it is on par with GPT-5. So, and that's open source. Um, in my field, I believe that you know there are anyway startups which are actually automating the whole operations workflow end to end. So we probably only need few humans in the loop at the time of production incidents, as an example. Like you should be, like for example, an agent could actually, you don't have to be like paged at 3 a.m. in the morning. I think the agent would take care of itself and then just really make a plan, just like how we do in our infrastructure code, a Terraform plan. It gives the human, is this plan good? If so, then go and apply this infrastructure rollout. Same thing with the agents when they can actually diagnose, triage, troubleshoot the issues and can also make fixes for it. I think some companies are already doing it, but there's a human in the loop. I suspect that there will be less human, more in the loop going forward compared to what we are seeing in the disruption. So operations.
Carl, Garv, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Really enjoyed your insights, and please, everyone, give them a warm round of applause.